Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades.
Oh, it's going to be a long hour.
It is.
Yeah.
It always is, Gary.
It always is.
I am Matt Connarton, and to my right, of course, is the Honorable Gary S. Hopper.
Matt!
That's me.
Fancy meeting you here again this week.
That's why I always identify myself so you don't have to remember my name.
I know, that's really helpful. That's actually, if the viewers ever look around the state, you'll see the legislative license plates, and they have the numbers on them. It's like mine is 1-38. The reason for that is I am in section 1 and my seat number is 38.
Oh.
And the reason they do that is because we're all old. And that way we can look at our plates. Oh, yeah, that's where I got to go today.
Well, it's a good system they've got there.
Right? Why else would they do that?
I can't talk until you introduce me.
Who are you?
Who am I? I forget.
Oh, so we should have had her introduce the show this week. That way she could have said, I am Pam Tucker, and that way you...
Yes. I'm Pam Tucker, and you're not.
Would you like to start over and I'll do the introductions?
Yeah, would you do that?
Yeah, let's try that. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Pam Tucker, and I'm here hosting, or co-hosting, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades with the lovely Matt Connarton and the Honorable Gary.
I didn't get lovely out of that.
Yeah, plus she kind of blew it. She said it's afternoon. It's technically evening.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. We're past 6.
Yeah. Good try,
nice
though.
Try,
yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I don't have the skill and expertise that you gentlemen do.
No,
that's,
I know.
well, who does really?
I know.
Look at us. I mean, we're
someday I do want to grow up and be just like you.
Hey,
Holy mackerel. Yeah. That's a pretty good compliment.
The compliments are just flying today.
Yeah,
yes.
Not believable, but they're... Oh, what did I... I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. I don't know what... What you're running for a state representative again because you're crazy.
Yes, I am, and I sit in seat 126. That's section 1. There's 5 sections. 1, which is far to the right of the speaker's podium, and 26. I sit right in the row ahead of Mr. Hopper, the Honorable Mr. Hopper.
And it's good for me because that way. No, this is a new soda. It's gamer soda. So if you're playing video games,
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, but if you're playing video games, this is like...
That's what you drink? And it helps you win?
Are you getting promotional funds for...
No.
That's our new sponsor.
That's our new Your last week's sponsor was Hand Grenade. This week it's Gamer.
Is there caffeine in it? A lot of caffeine?
I don't think so.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
That would be appropriate, though.
Yeah, I would think.
Double the caffeine of coffee.
Just need to stay up till
so
4 in the morning playing. Yes, instead of 2.
How'd you know?
I just took a wild guess.
Oh, it was a good guess. Let's see. In the news this week was smart guns. Because a couple of states want to go to only smart gun technology. This, like most things, is going to sound wicked awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, smart gun technology means that the person that owns the gun is fundamentally the only person who can shoot it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I don't know, it's biometrics or it might have fingerprint recognition, or I'm sure there's about 20 ways to skin the cat on this. I don't recommend skinning cats. I just want to say that.
I love cats.
It's an expression.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So the advantage of smart gun technology is that if you had a gun on the next to your bed and it's loaded, ready to rock and roll, and a 4-year-old walks up and grabs it, it can't go off.
Or if someone steals your gun, or
that's the advantage. Now, what is the disadvantage? If the handgun was bought by me, and yet I'm not home, and my husband is home, shall we say, and there is a break-in and he needs to use it, he can't.
I'm not so sure that that's necessarily a disadvantage, because it seems reasonable that they could program it to accept at least 2 fingerprints. Okay, so I don't necessarily buy that.
All right, so my husband and I are gone, and my daughter's home alone, who has been well trained in the usage of firearms. I'm just saying we've got to look at both the pros and cons. I'm not for or against it. I think we need to find more information.
I think the cons are much worse and sinister than that.
Well, we've only listed one.
I know because.
I interrupted you?
No. You didn't interrupt me. I'm just haven't got there yet because
he takes his time.
I take my time.
Yeah, it's an hour.
We might as well.
Why
rush
throw
a
the
good thing?
punchline out right off? You know.
Very true.
So what's one of the fundamental purposes of the Second Amendment?
For us to keep and bear arms?
Yes.
Well, it all depends. If you are on the other side of the aisle than I am, you shouldn't really have one. It's outdated and outmoded.
Right, but I'm saying, originally, what was the intent of the Second Amendment?
So that we could rise up against an oppressive, tyrannical government if necessary.
Can the government hack your phone?
Of course they can.
Do they?
NSA, did you?
Yes. Yeah, well, I should ask them. Why will I ask them? Okay, so if the government can hack your phone, theoretically, they could remotely shut it off, turn it on, listen to you, do whatever they want. Now, what's going to happen if the only guns available for self-defense are smart guns?
That's an interesting downside of this technology. But what do we do with all of the guns out there that don't have smart technology? Do we have to upgrade them?
We'd have to get rid of those.
Or do we just upgrade them all?
Or upgrade
and register
them all,
every one of them.
Make sure that they're all safe for the children, and because it's all about the children, Pam.
And the dogs.
And the dogs and the cats.
Cats, because you don't like to skin cats.
You don't want to skin cats. So that's the downside. The real downside is once you had, if you, in theory, and New Jersey's trying to go this way, in theory you had all these smart gun technology and the only guns left on the street were people with smart guns. In theory it sounds really good because a crackhead can't steal your gun and go shoot somebody with it. But if you understand that one of the primary purposes of the Second Amendment is to maintain the balance of the power in the hands of the people, that smart gun technology is the worst possible thing we could have.
Yes, it almost sounds like a Star Wars movie where, they shut the switch off and all of the little drones just all of a sudden go...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't mean to go back to Star Wars. I know we did that last time.
Oh, that's right.
I'd actually forgotten about that, yeah.
Always a good point of reference.
Yes.
It is a good point of reference.
When we start talking like the little green guy, we're going to be in trouble. An answer I have.
What's a little green guy?
Little green guy?
Yoda.
Yoda.
Oh, Yoda. Okay, yeah.
I was thinking of something else. I don't know what the hell I was thinking of, the little green guys. But anyway, along the gun issue, Sir Mayor of Bloomberg, he's got this organization. I should have wrote it down, but I did not because I'm not that smart. He said there was 74. This is reported on Yahoo News and actually it was CNN that actually investigated this. It's pretty cool of them. He said their group said in the 18 months since Sandy Hook, 74 similar shootings have happened.
In schools?
In schools.
But not massacres of the extent that Sandy Hook
Not the same quantity, but the same type.
Hmm.
So CNN looked into it, and what it was is Bloomberg's group was trying to obviously exaggerate numbers and included gang-type shootings.
Really?
They included suicides.
Geez, if you include all that, I'm surprised that number's not higher.
Yeah, exactly. But those had to be within the school.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's why the number is actually...
So any type of gun violence in the confines of a school?
I believe so. So therefore, it was 74. So that group had basically lied. It was actually CNN investigated and said there was actually only 15, which is still a huge number.
Oh, they're trying to push an agenda.
They are trying to push an agenda, regardless of the facts. And it was I was listening to the report. I listened to it both on Fox and on CNN because I don't necessarily trust any news organization too much. But on Fox, they were saying the actual homicide rate is down 49% since 1993.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we've steadily. It never seems like it because, of course, everyone naturally, it's human nature. We focus on whatever's happening now, and you turn on the news, and good news isn't news. So you see all this death, violence, and mayhem. But we have been steadily becoming a safer and safer country, and the world actually has steadily been becoming less and less violent. You wouldn't know it to watch the news, especially with what's going on in Iraq. But we actually are evolving in that way, becoming safer.
Yep. Well, I think part of the deal is that we started getting really, really violent during the 70s, late 70s, 80s, and 90s. And by about the early 90s, the Republicans pushed towards getting tough on crime, which meant lock everybody up. It worked. It's not. I don't think it's a correct solution because
Right. Our prisons are packed and
exactly. It's a lot of young men in prison.
yeah. Yeah.
And women too.
Much
but-
more women now than before.
Yeah, and it's horrible actually to be spending $30,000 or $50,000 a year to push somebody in a cage.
Right.
I mean, the alternative is there's insanity on the streets, but I think the real solution is going back to encouraging stronger families instead of encouraging to break them up.
Sure.
Well, I would agree with that. I agree. The family is the basis, and that's where these kids who grow up to be bad people learn all their values. And if they're
Right.
not valued as a child, they're not going to value other human
Yeah.
lives.
Absolutely.
And it's just a continual cycle that goes on and on.
Yeah.
So yes, I am all pro-family.
Yeah. You were old-fashioned, Pam.
Yeah, I
Well,
kind of
wicked
did
old-fashioned.
it. Yeah, I got married and had kids. I did it the
yeah.
old-fashioned
Yeah.
way.
Kind of ruined your life, really.
It
Sucker.
certainly changed it. Yes, no, it changed it for the better. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my children.
She's still trying to convince herself.
I know, right?
You know, you can tell. Hey, so anyway, so you're running for state rep again. What's the districts look like
Yes.
out where in your neck of the woods?
I'm in the Portsmouth area. So Portsmouth has a tendency to be very, very liberal, the town itself, but
Right.
I'm on the suburb. My district it's a suburb, so you're gonna get a lot of left-leaning people. But we're all fiscally sound and conservative too. You don't want higher property taxes.
Right.
You don't want more government involvement. We're a small community. We want to control our schools, and that's a big thing, especially when you're paying so much through the nose for your property taxes. So it's in that regard. I've been elected 3 times now. I'm going for my 4th term.
Yeah.
As of yesterday, no one signed up against me on the other side. So we'll see.
Have you run unopposed before?
Yes, I ran last term unopposed.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
not bragging. It's just
Do you still call it running if you're unopposed, or do you just kind of call it like walking,
strolling.
or
I call it
strolling.
strolling.
ambling, or
Yeah.
strolling?
But no, it's part of. But if you stay in touch with your constituents, I do a quarterly newsletter type thing, and just you're at all the events. My kids
Yeah.
are in school, so everyone knows me, and take care of your constituents. That's what you're there for, is
Right.
to serve the people, not yourself or any party or anything. Defend our
I
constitutions.
hate the
and
people.
Shame.
Oh, yeah, I should have said that.
I know, Gary. Jeez.
What is-
Oh.
Remember the Mel Brooks
Where's
thing?
He's gonna get himself in trouble here.
Actually, if he hasn't yet.
Oh, he already did.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. What are we thinking here? He
No, is
already
it
has.
Mel Brooks, The History of the World Part 2?
Oh,
The
I
peasants. I love the peasants. They go pull.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The peasant flies by. It started out with the peasants are revolting. He says, "Yeah, I know, but what's your point?"
Yes. Kind of like Monty Python stuff.
Yeah.
Was it So, I got to hand it to people at Elliott Hospital yesterday. My wife broke her wrist yesterday at the. She was at Central at a teacher conference on. What do you call it when you teach people not to hate other people?
Tolerance?
Yeah, but it's not called.
Anti-bullying.
No.
It is called tolerance.
It is tolerance, but there's a name for the. Anyway,
Warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, huge warm and fuzzy. love thy neighbor workshop. There's all the school systems in Manchester. Teachers were at that, and she tripped and fell and snapped her wrist.
Ouch.
Oh.
And but the people at Elliott were really good because she'd been there for a few hours, and I told the nurse, I said, my wife's been here a while. The doctor said she could go home, and it's 3:00. With one hand, it's going to be a lot tougher for her to make me dinner, so I'd like to get going. Right? I mean, 'cause I'm thinking of her.
Right, yes.
That's
You're
right.
very considerate. What a
Right.
good husband you
So
are.
you went to the early bird specials, didn't you? You went out to dinner and got the early bird special. That's what I knew. That's what you were thinking, right?
No, that's not what I was thinking. Oh, I'm such a jerk.
Trying to get you bail you out here.
No,
Gary.
I know. No, I deliberately try to push myself over the cliff.
So when you said that to the nurse, did you get a laugh? Because I know sometimes people don't.
Some people get really pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I say stuff like that all the time just to see how people react, and she just kind of shook her head like.
Well, you were saying it in jest. Others, perhaps it isn't so.
Probably,
Right.
there's probably some people that actually mean it.
Exactly.
That'd be really funny. Let's see, what else did I get?
You got lots of notes there.
Oh, these are.
You even typed that out.
I didn't type it out. I actually just copy, paste, print. I can't type. Now my wife can't either. So anyway.
Just insult to injury now,
Oh,
huh?
I know. She's not watching.
She doesn't watch the
She
show.
doesn't watch the show.
Smart lady, isn't she?
So anyway, remember our friend Dave Fine, because
Yes.
we've been talking a lot when I was out because of the cancer. A friend of mine, Dave Fine, he's my quote unquote liberal friend. You know, you always have to have one just to
Yes.
make it look like you're open minded.
One? I have like a dozen.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You're a better person than me. So
They're good people, too.
I wouldn't go that far, but anyway, oh, now I'm going to forget what it is. What's the anti-alcohol group that we get emails from all the time? Not Farnham Center. It's
Oh, I know what one you're saying. It's not AA. It's not DARE.
no, but it's a group up in Concord that
Yes.
advocates for treatment and stuff. Anyway, they send
Drug
us
and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they send us out a letter like once every now and again and talk about some of the alcohol related stuff that was in the news. And try it this way. It was May 7th, man arrested after apparent overdose. May 8th, former teacher convicted of drug trial. May 8th, urine test reveals bail violation. May 9th, child leads police to father's cocaine. What a jerk. So May 10th.
Nobody likes a rat.
I know, right? Poor kid. May 10th, driver arrested for possession. May 11th, man faces these are all New Hampshire. Drug charges after hitting pole. That's P-O-L-E.
Okay.
May 13th, Stratford man accused of selling heroin. May 14th, theft controlled drug charge. May 15th, Keene cocaine investigation. 16th, inmate returns after drug test. May 18th, charges against Hampton woman. 19th, woman in gas station bathroom charged. May 20th, Rockingham heroin drug arrest. And it's just like it's constant. I didn't do that one yet.
So what you're saying is we have a state of just of people who are alcoholics? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what we've been talking about in the program is you got a couple of layers of this. You got the people who are, and a lot of them are kids who grow up in dysfunctional homes that we just talked about, and they turn to drugs as a way out. I mean, if you're stressed out all the time as a child, and the first time you pick up a drug, and all of a sudden it's just that all that anxiety just kind of drifts away. It's not hard to see where that's going, because that it drifts away first, and then after a while it turns on you. But by the
Right.
time it turns on you,
You're in.
you're already in, and it doesn't even look like there's a way out.
What I get from this too is like if I wanted to go and commit an armed robbery right now or something, it'd be a good time to do it because the cops are really busy with all the drug and alcohol stuff.
It's good.
That's
good
a
point.
thought. I
Yeah.
never
He's
thought
pretty
of that.
smart.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm pragmatic.
You want
is
to borrow
what
a
it
gun?
is.
I'll rent it to you.
Awesome.
Give me a percentage.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't say that on the air, though.
Well, we're just talking business. No big deal.
You're conspiring.
We're just conspiring to
Yeah,
commit crime.
that's all. It's not the
whatever.
same. It's free speech. So,
I get your point of where you're going with that. When you grow up in an alcoholic or a bad relationship, that is your reality,
it is.
and you don't know anything different.
And then you have the other segment of the population that are the quote unquote good kids who are in soccer and things like that, and then they break a leg at soccer practice, and the first thing the doctor does, what does the doctor give them for pain immediately?
Some good vitamin
Oxycontins. No, not vitamin B.
V's, Vicodins.
Vicodins or
Vitamin V's on the street.
oh,
Not
okay.
that I would know.
No.
Yeah, no,
No.
she wouldn't know.
Of course
that.
not.
She wouldn't
I
know
don't
that.
know.
None of us would.
No.
Least of all me.
No, least of all. But they put him on Oxycontin.
Yeah.
Now you're giving the kid heroin basically, and in a few weeks he's taking a little bit more to kind of relieve the pain, then a little bit more to relieve the pain. By the time this kid's done, he's addicted to heroin. And if you're that addicted to anything, and the doctors aren't treating it, they're not like saying, well, you've been on on this opiate for a while, how are you doing? Let's taper you off, or what's going on? How many are you taking? They don't check up. They don't care. They don't do blood tests to try to find out how much this kid's taken in, and so he gets done his drug treatment. He's now addicted.
Yeah.
He's a teenager, so he knows where to get stuff. Heroin will give you the same effect, and so they a lot of the heroin addicts actually were just injured and got addicted to the stuff through legal means.
Now, I thought, like, for broken bones and things like that, you're only given a certain amount because eventually the bone's going to heal and you're out of pain. So
Right. I don't know.
I'm not a doctor, but I do play one on TV.
You do, and she does a fine job too.
Oh my. Wow.
I was in the waiting room yesterday waiting for the wife. Just ruined my day. I just so angry at her. Anyway,
Because she couldn't make you dinner.
she couldn't make me
That's what you
dinner.
get for getting married.
I know. So no, I'm sitting. This is so ridiculous. I'm sitting there, same position I am in the State House, just sitting there with my eyes closed.
I've
Not
never
quite-
caught you sleeping.
Not quite sleeping.
I have not
I'm-
caught you sleeping.
I call it meditating, but
Yes.
it is actually kind of like just kind of. It actually feels good to actually close my eyes because I usually
You can actually absorb more information as long as you don't start snoring. You should-
snoring and the drooling
and the head going like
the
this.
Drooling,
and then
drooling on Lars's shoulder is always
Yeah.
a sign that maybe. Anyway, so I was just sitting back like this. Above my head is a TV in the emergency room with General Hospital.
Oh my gosh, I watched that with Luke and Laura.
I watch it now.
Do you? It's
Oh my
Luke and Laura's still on it?
Luke is. Laura's not.
Really?
Luke is still there.
Oh my gosh, he's got to be like 90.
I got hooked on it when I was a kid. He's in his 60s,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, I thought you guys would understand.
But someone else is impersonating him right now, wearing a mask and committing
Is-
crime.
Oh, on
Luke,
the show.
Luke is actually in a sanitarium.
Okay.
There's a double going around.
Something's never changed, like
No.
storylines.
You don't know what you're missing, Gary.
Yeah.
I do. I was sitting there. I do, and it's the one woman says, "Well, I don't know what we're going to do with him. I'm mad at her. Why? Because she's dating a serial killer."
Franco.
And I just started laughing. They had these two women
You really
across.
do
I
watch
really
it?
do watch it.
There was two women across from me, and they're like really into it. And they're sitting there, like you can tell they're mumbling back and forth about what's going on. And then as soon as she's dating a serial killer, I just started laughing out loud because it was so stupid.
Oh, in Franco's defense, he had a brain tumor when he killed those people.
Did they remove the brain tumor and he's okay now?
Yes,
though?
and now he's a
Okay.
really nice guy. He's an
Oh.
artist.
Oh, so he shouldn't go to prison for killing those two people because he was just misled.
He was already acquitted because of the tumor.
Oh, because it's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. So it's not gonna.
Oh my gosh.
How is that any more mind numbing than the shows on at 8 o'clock at night? All of these reality shows.
Good point.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
It's exactly the same. Unfortunately, my children are actually watching them on because it's on prime time when I don't catch them and turn off the
Don't
TV.
catch them.
Yes.
Oh man, Matt, I just lost a lot of respect for you, buddy.
I understand.
Nothing personal.
It's my cross to bear.
Yeah.
Everyone has their one show that they watch or their one little thing.
It's like a drug. I got hooked when I was a
Yes.
kid on GH. It's like a drug.
You know what I used to watch? I used to watch wrestling because it's the same thing.
I still do.
You know, it is exactly
It's
the
a soap
same
opera,
thing.
yeah.
It's the same thing of who likes who and who's going to beat up who and
Yeah.
who's the champion, blah, blah, blah. And they all get up there and flex their muscles, and I'm the biggest dude. And
Yeah.
it's so funny. And the people who really get into it, though, it's kind of scary. It's like, yeah, no, they don't say it's real, but they're like so into it.
Right,
they
right.
think it's
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know who's big now. Is John Cena?
Yeah, he's still the
Is
top
he still
guy.
big?
Yeah.
See, I love Triple H. He was my
He's
guy.
still around,
I
yeah.
actually have a picture of him in my room.
Do you?
Not hanging
well,
on the
he's
wall.
from here. He's from Nashua.
Yeah, I know. My husband used to lift with him when
Oh,
he
really?
down. Yeah, when he wasn't anybody. Yeah, my
Oh,
husband
wow.
lived down in that neck of the woods and used to lift with him in the gym.
Wow.
I think his name is like Jean or something. Yeah.
John. It's Paul Levesque.
But, yeah,
That's his
I know
real
it was
name,
like
yeah.
a French name. Yeah, and of course I wanted to be not that I wanted to get big,
French
but
guy
you
from
want to be cool like
Manchester?
China
Yeah,
was.
right.
Remember China? How
Yeah, of
she's
course.
big
Well,
and-
she's from here too. Yeah.
Is she really?
Joni
Wow.
Laurer. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what happened to her. Do you remember China? She was like the biggest woman, the most muscular woman you've ever seen. It's just super cool. And she was going out with Triple H. That made her really cool. But he ended up, but Triple H did the right, well, not the right thing. He ended up marrying Vince McMahon's daughter
Right.
in real life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Very much the right thing in my
That's
view.
a really
smart.
good move. Yeah, very smart move. You know, it's definitely, you know, there's some job security there. And
And she's beautiful anyway.
oh, she was, yes. Beautiful woman. She's a smart girl. Well, girl, she's probably my age.
Stephanie?
Yeah, ours is probably a little younger, maybe. Shh, shh, don't go there. Never ask a woman her age. So, all right, enough on wrestling.
Poor Gary. If you hadn't brought up General Hospital, none of that would have
Right.
happened.
I
It's your
guess.
fault.
Well,
That's right. I think you need to watch it just once to understand how fun it really can be. And do you know what's even more fun? Because funner's not really a word.
Funnerist is.
What funnerist is going to an actual meet, like a WWF, SummerSlam, or it actually really is fun. It's a lifetime experience. It's like going to the concert of your favorite band. There's just so much energy.
Oh, speaking
there.
of concerts, what the heck did I see? I went and saw the Celtic Women.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Where?
Here?
Were they in Manchester?
No, it was in Boston a long time. It was quite a few years ago.
Oh.
Oh, I thought this was recent. He goes, oh,
Yeah, I know.
wow, I like this revelation.
That's what I thought, too.
No, it reminded me because I'm sitting there trying to listen to it, and there's this guy, like a couple rows back. He's singing with them. It's just like, jeez, dude.
Really?
I didn't pay this much money to listen to you. Oh, can we go back to something relevant?
Okay, what would that be?
I shouldn't be so jerkish about it because my big thing, the reason I have this soda, is 'cause I play Final Fantasy 14 all the time. I'm
I don't know what that
game.
is.
Yeah, it's a game where I get to be like a knight in shining armor. And
Yeah, that
kill.
stuff's addictive,
Is that
too,
like
yeah.
14 to 24-year-old males? Is that what?
It's funny because it's they have a lot of female characters, but
Mm-hmm.
they're probably not.
Female.
Yeah, not likely because it's a.
You play against other people with that,
Yeah,
right? You go
that's-
online and play
Online?
against other people?
Oh yeah, it's online.
New
and
concept.
There's like 1 million, I don't know, 100,000 say people playing all at the same time.
That's like a war.
Oh. I love Final Fantasy.
You put it on the screen.
Yeah, our technician just kind of confused me.
Folks couldn't see that at home,
Doesn't
but-
take a lot. So I mean that's my thing. I just
Shiny object. Got him off track again.
One day someone came in and tossed him a ball of yarn. It was all over.
Oh my gosh, like the cat.
laser pointer. I'm just out.
They call this ADD in schools.
We just call it rock, paper, hand grenades.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's same thing. Yeah, I've always had that. I've always been easy to just drift way off.
3 conversations at once.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
All
anyway,
right, the relevant thing on your sheet there.
Oh, yes.
yes, I
Okay.
was getting down to that, but you guys kind of, totally screwed me up. It's emotionally gonna hurt me for days.
You're very sensitive.
I'm wicked sensitive.
I forget that
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know.
Especially now that he hasn't had dinner for a couple nights.
I know.
Overnight.
Yeah.
No, that didn't happen. No, that was yesterday.
That's all right. Only one night.
It was only
you've been
one night.
Deprived of dinner.
Yeah, should lose weight anyway. Let's see. Yeah, this is really sad. I mean, a lot of people are making fun of this online, but when you talk about this, should be added to the list of drug-related incidents. There was a woman who was prostituting at the library in Oshawa, which you wouldn't think that would be a place you would go to try to make money, but
No, I would choose. If
She-
I was a prostitute, I would go to a truck stop,
truck stop.
not
right.
a library, where there's old.
Probably nicer clientele at the library.
That's
well,
true.
yes. The Bridge Club would be there.
The
The
Bridge
Cribbage
Club, yeah,
Club,
yeah.
The
There's a lot of
flower
lo-
arrangement.
Probably a lot of lonely old guys that
True.
could use some attention,
Some love.
some love.
Some love. I agree with you. That's sad. My libertarian friends don't care for me much when we talk about prostitution. They think a person should have total rights to their body, which I do. But what person in their right mind would subject themselves to that without any type of coercement? Would be my question.
It's drug. It's usually drug addiction.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. it's. That's where I break. There and a few other places I break ranks with the libertarians
Yes.
too, because you have to have some moral guidelines to go by in life, and if your government says all of a sudden, that's when one of my arguments when people say, and you've heard it up in the well probably 100 times, and it always drives me crazy, but the legislators, typically the liberal ones, and some of the conservatives will say, well, you can't legislate morality. The premise is that if you make a law, it isn't going to make anybody obey it, which is true. But it's still what you go. Those are like guidelines. This is this is what society accepts as legal and illegal, and the illegal we consider to be a detriment to society.
Like killing people.
Like killing people.
Now, couldn't that be morally?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we legislate morality anyway to one extent or another. Yeah, of course.
We legislate morality constantly. It's only a function of whose morality are we legislating.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, atheists still have morality, or the libertarians have morality.
Right. They all
but they
have a sense
define
of. One would hope they all have a sense of right and wrong.
Right.
Which that's the basis, and so you're right. We do. I think we do legislate to an effect. But the question is whose morality?
Yeah.
And I think that is the underlying problem here. Is whose morality is it? Why can't I do whatever I want with my body?
Right. And actually, somebody said that I forget who we had on the show. That might have been. I forgot. But one of them said that the Constitution says your inalienable rights. You still don't actually have the right to commit suicide.
And I would say why? If you own your body.
You don't. But
After I've done it, what are they going to do? Prosecute
me? Right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
usually it's attempted suicide they get you for.
Well,
Suicide is typically not prosecuted often.
You think?
I mean, maybe it is if they're really bored, but.
But that as we trail down that road a little bit, it's you're talking about person's body and life and then it goes to the question of abortion, one of the biggest political issues of where do you draw the line on that, because it is your body.
Is it?
Yes, it's in your body.
It's in your body, but it isn't. It isn't your body.
Well,
once that child's conceived, it's their body.
That becomes a human. So I guess the question you ask the pro-choice people, and this is what I struggle with it to a certain extent too, because I don't want anyone to have to go through an abortion. I saw I went to college, saw what happened.
Yeah.
But then you say, well, where does the government protect the rights of that child? Is it when it's conceived? Where is it? So that's a question I always go back to. When does life begin? And I think if we can answer that question, which it might shed a little more light on it. I really think that technology is way ahead of our morality.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, when you start talking about issues like that, and about death with dignity, we've seen that bill a lot of times up at the State House.
Oh yeah, I'm on the judiciary. We get that
every time.
Every time.
Should the assisted suicide, should people be allowed? And that's a great question, because you start thinking about that. Well, yeah, if someone wants to die and they're living just a miserable existence.
Right.
My mom has Alzheimer's right now, and it's getting really bad. Not that I'm going to go out and kill her.
Right.
But what if my mom was worth $10 billion? It's like then there's an incentive for me to, maybe
talk her into it,
or cut it short, or so I can buy that yacht that's on sale right now. But so you got to think about
which
this
yacht's
thing.
that?
Yeah, Donald Trump's old one.
Oh my.
But that's what I mean. So that's where I think we really need to start thinking about morality and catching up with having the technology and the morality kind of get more in line.
Yeah,
and I don't have the answers by any stretch. I do not. These are questions that we struggle with
Sure.
all the time as a society.
Absolutely.
Well, I think part of the problem is back in the 70s when we were debating pro-life, and most people believed the Darwinian what do you call it, pictures that they drew, or the diagrams, that a baby was basically just a looked like a zygote, and it looked a little later on it looked like a salamander or something like that. And it's never been the case. It's now, with the technology we have today, we can actually follow it through, and it looks like a human pretty quick.
Yeah, 8 weeks, it's about this big, and it looks like a human. So it is. It's kind of interesting that we haven't kept up with
There's
that.
another report I heard recently that said, I think at 8 weeks, might have been 8 weeks, but I'm not positive, that they have evidence it's actually starting to dream also.
That's interesting.
Wow, one would think. But that's, and I'm not taking a position on it here and now. I think my positions are in my votes, and you can look at them. But the question is, when does it begin?
See, for me, it's not, and I think this gets left out a lot, is that someone who's pro-choice,
Right.
I'm not pro-choice because well, actually, I don't believe particularly that life begins at conception. I would say maybe implantation, and some conservatives make that distinction too, and some don't. But putting that aside, the real reason that I'm pro-choice, I'm not a fan of abortion. I don't think it's a good thing. I actually think it's wrong. But I also firmly believe if you could wave a magic wand tomorrow and just abortion is illegal again, then society is going to plunge back into a time when, we had the back alley abortions and a woman would perforate her uterus with a coat hanger. I mean, not to be graphic about it, but that's what used to go on.
And that's where
that's
because
a nightmare
you
scenario.
You don't want to go back there.
Right.
But in the same token, you want to. It is a child. I don't know how else. When it is a child, so where do we draw the line here? How do we determine if and when you can have an abortion? Should we have laws?
How the other thing is back then it was presumed that the reason we had these back alley abortions is children didn't understand about sex, or there was no sex education. Well, we have had.
I'll tell you about what my daughter learned.
Actually, that's in a second. But we've had how many years of sex education in the schools, and the abortion rate isn't going. Well, actually, it is going down.
It is going down, and so
marginally.
teen pregnancy rates are going down.
That's marginal, not.
Well, but it's
and
still
so
progress.
is the birth rate over in our country overall, though.
Right.
as
Yeah.
well.
But it's progress, I think. And if you look at the state of Texas, I know he's your buddy, but Rick Perry. But I know Rick Perry is very proud of his abstinence-only education in Texas. But then when someone asks him, why does Texas then have the highest teen pregnancy rate in the country, and then he just kind of ducks and dodges and doesn't answer it. And it's like, okay, well. I think so. I think there should be sex ed. I don't think it should be too early, but I think you got to teach these kids that look, you shouldn't do this until you're ready. But if you're going to do this, at least do it safely. And I think that's why we're seeing the rates of teen pregnancy fall.
I don't know. I think the rates of teen pregnancy falling is because there's so many STDs out there. There's a lot more dangerous things out there than there were, a lot of years ago. What were you going to say about your daughter?
No, I don't know if I should on this show. This is a family show, right?
But can you
barely?
Can you phrase it correctly so that people understand?
Yeah. So, all right. So I guess I'm a prude of a mom because I do have a very good relationship with my 16-year-old daughter who's in high school, and yes, she does tell me everything. She tells me about the girls at school who happen to have abortions because they got too drunk at a party and. This is where you're talking about that gray area. Who's doing drugs? Who's smoking pot? Who's doing blah, blah, blah. So I kind of get the feel of what's going on in the school. And thankfully, my husband also coaches football at Portsmouth, so get a little bit of insight in that way. So my daughter has this health class, which they spent the whole class talking about basically sex education. Very little on nutrition and taking care of your body.
You don't need to worry about.
Wait, obesity rates in this country?
That's okay. As long as you're having sex, we're good.
It's not like we're raising generations of diabetics or anything.
Not at all. Yeah, and heart disease. It's like, let's talk about making healthy choices and not just sex.
Right.
So they said, well, she had to go. One of the projects was she had to go and buy a condom in a store. And
that's kind of weird.
Because they wanted to get because they want to get over the feeling of fear of doing it. And so she came home and told me, and says, well, no, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I says, I just morally have a problem.
Yeah.
I think they've crossed the line into what a parent's responsibility is. I really felt that way. So I said, no.
I agree.
And so she goes to school. So she says, okay, you don't have to do it. Hands her like an expired condom, and then they have to show how to properly put it
expired?
on. They gave them an expired condom in the classroom, and she was to put it on a banana to know how to properly put it on. Against my wishes. So where do you go with that?
Well, you should be able to opt out.
Yeah,
right.
That's what had we known, but they don't tell you anymore. They just we've let the raising of our children go to the schools to a certain extent. We want local control. I talked about that in the beginning. So this is an area we really need to, if we want to raise our kids the way we want them raised, we got to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't rely on the schools to do it.
I agree. I mean, I'm for sex ed, like I said, but
to a certain extent,
you should also be able to opt out of the class or opt out of specific things. I mean, you as a parent should have that control.
She have to do that like in front of boys and stuff?
I didn't ask the question.
I hope not, because that is
I hope
weird.
not.
That is-
I
that
hope
is
they
really-
did have to do it in the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind
That
of.
is perverted.
Yeah, it's like a Fast Times at Ridgemont High scene or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like
In any case, but as a parent, I've got over that because, I've raised my daughter the right way, and you hope
Yeah.
as they get older that you've made or taught them the right choices, because now they're free now, basically. And that's our whole goal in life, is to let our children go by.
Right.
And I'm just hoping that she makes the right choices, because you can't control it.
no.
If you become a parent, you understand.
Yeah, so I keep dodging that.
I know you're doing pretty
doing
good.
fine.
Yeah. I almost was a daddy.
Almost.
When I was 17,
Oh my goodness.
my 21-year-old girlfriend at the time got pregnant, and she had a miscarriage very early, before she even was sure that she was pregnant.
Wow.
So that was, yeah.
Dodge that one.
Yeah, I
She
did.
was kind of robbing the cradle a little bit too,
I was precocious.
right?
Mm.
Or a guy, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that statutory now?
I know.
17, 21.
No, 16 is the age of
16,
consent in New
okay.
Hampshire, I think, so.
I don't think it is necessarily for boys though.
Yeah.
I know it's different. I don't know about that. I don't
It'd be
know.
hard to prosecute.
So we have double standards. So here we go. We have double.
We
but
always
wait,
do.
women and
Yeah.
men are equal. Everyone says
We
we're
always.
equal.
Oh, here's a double standard. You might have gotten this phone call as a legislator. I got a phone call earlier this year. I think it was a young lady from UNH asking me about not sex abuse. What do you call assaulting women and stuff like that? Would you answer these questions? Sure, I don't care. And she goes on and on. By the end of the thing, I says, "Does everybody else answer this?" No, they hung up on me. Most of them hung up a long time ago.
Really?
But one of the questions was, if a woman is drunk, can she consent? I said, no, of course not. She goes, well, then she goes on. So the question eventually became, I don't know if she asked us directly, I said, so what about the guy's really drunk and the girl's really drunk? They're both in, let's call it a blackout.
Right.
How come he's responsible or guilty of sexual assault because she couldn't consent?
when
How-
he couldn't accept the consent either. If he
He
was that
couldn't.
drunk.
He probably has no idea what he did.
Right.
Well, this goes to, was it California that says you have to sign a consent form? They're
Oh,
looking
oh
at
yeah,
a bill?
California is doing that.
Yeah,
college.
It's gonna die. There's no way. That's behavior. I mean, we are trying to legislate morality here and all, but you have to sign a consent form before you decide to participate.
Wow.
If you're in college, yeah, I think
No
it's a
kidding.
college thing.
How would you do that? I mean, what are you gonna do? Okay, can we sign this form in the heat of the moment? Can you sign your name here? I mean, it's
Well,
hard
the
enough to
thi-
get them to put on condoms, right?
Right? Yeah. It's insane anyway because she could say, well, I was under duress and that's why I signed it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. There
Yeah.
you go. You're right.
Yeah.
You're
It's
right.
it's an irrelevant
Yeah.
document, but yeah, that's right. California, they're trying to pass a law that people the women have to write a letter of consent before engaging in sex. But the thing is why if we're going to say men and women are equal, how the heck does that work?
Well, the men should have to sign it too.
Exactly.
Yep.
And but go back to the couple are drunk. Who's really responsible?
Well, neither is responsible because they're both drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what do you do?
I know.
And their baby pops out. Well, who's the irresponsible?
That's the other thing.
We name it irresponsible. I mean,
Call me irresponsible.
I thought they called
that's good. Good catch.
what was that Cher song back in the 70s? You were not old enough to remember. Love Child, that was it. Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of stuff like that. It's people say we're supposed to be equal, but we're not the same. Men and women are not the same.
I'm not going to hold a door for you.
No.
No. And I'm not going to let you borrow my shoes.
Oh, come on!
And
You
I'm
said
not wearing
you
your
would.
shoes. Yes, and I certainly am not going to borrow your shoes.
I wear clean socks.
No, and we need to recognize those differences, and they're always going to be there.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying men and women are unequal and saying men and women are different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
the same.
yeah.
You can say men and women are different, but that's I know sometimes feminists will freak out if you even say that, but
Yeah, that's just
Right.
it's
It's not-
insane. It's insane. Well, the thing is, a lot of it is completely sexist. Like if you say a woman if you talk to any manufacturer, they'll tell you that women are better at assembly. Why? Because they can multitask. They get this part, and they are
we
better.
can talk and gossip and still do other things.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? That's I got
But
that.
yeah, but no, and women will never get offended by that. If
Right.
you say women are better at multitasking, but if you invert that and say men are better at maintain, what do you call it when you're focused only on one thing, like almost like men tend
Tunnel vision.
tunnel vision. Men have tunnel vision, which helps them to arrive at conclusions in engineering more readily.
Because you're not distracted by all the shiny objects. That,
You're
are,
not,
that, that one
I
over
didn't
there.
say me. I'm not saying these are generalizations, but if you say that, now you're sexist. So it's like, as long as it's a compliment towards women, it's okay to say it. But if it in any way is not, then you're a
Yeah.
sexist jerk.
That's right.
That's right. Like if I made more money than you.
Remember the time you got your name in the Wall Street Journal before your husband?
Oh yes.
Oh, that was.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I did. It was only the online version, but I was
Yeah?
in there before he was. And
Oh,
yeah.
wow. How come?
It was just some quote I said on the house floor, and
Yeah?
it just made the online version of the Wall Street Journal.
Oh,
It was
wow.
awesome.
But my husband is much more successful than I. He actually gets paid for what he does.
Right.
$100 a year.
Yeah.
If that's how we measure success.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We found that on that bus trip we took up to Canada. That's where we found
Yeah.
that out. That was awesome. That was a
Yeah.
wicked fun trip.
Yeah.
But
But that, yeah, so it's like, okay, oh, yeah, so you made the Wall Street, because it's like one of those little rivalry
Sure,
things
sure.
that you have.
Oh, wow.
most people don't have that kind of rivalry. In
It's
I come from an Irish family, so the rivalry is, who gets on the police blotter first and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's not much.
But it's something.
It's something.
Something to strive for.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's kind of a form of popularity and recognition for your activity, right?
Yes.
And as an Irishman, there's not that many things we're going to be recognized for.
Oh, yes, you have, wasn't James Joyce was an Irishman, the great writer?
Oh, we don't read.
You have, and you have great beer and whiskey.
that was the one. Beer.
That's true.
I was thinking about that. I keep thinking of saying this on the way here. Is I don't get this. I don't drink anymore. I don't drink. I haven't had a drink since 1981. I drove my father-in-law's pickup truck into a bus, and since then I haven't had any to drink.
That's a smart thing.
Some people
Self-control.
cannot do it. And so anyway, I'm on the way here, walking down Elm Street, and there's a beer called Shipyard.
Yeah, Shipyard Ale.
I'm thinking to myself, who the heck names their beer after a ship? Have you ever been to a shipyard? What does it smell like? It smells like, dead fish,
Yeah.
grease, kerosene.
No, think of big billowy sails, bright blue
Okay, well,
skies. Isn't that
that's-
what you're thinking when you think of shipyards?
Yeah, it's about the.
Not a shipyard.
It's
That's
about
not a
the-
shipyard.
It's
That's being out to
image.
sea. They could call it out to sea. They could call it billowing sails.
That doesn't sound as pretty.
Shipyard sounds stupid.
No,
Billowing,
shipyards.
billowing sails does sound nice, actually.
Yeah.
I think
Billowy
billowing
sails. What about
sails.
smutty nose, for goodness sake?
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I
But
know.
anyway, shipyard just seemed like, why don't they just call it like septic tank?
Well, that
my
maybe
word.
maybe that'd be a good marketing
Yeah.
idea. Maybe you should start.
I should start my
septic tank ale.
Yeah, but I don't drink.
We
so
should
I
do
can't.
a whole show on different beer names because of all of the microbreweries that are in the state. I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
booming industry.
It is,
and we can talk about all the different names of all the ones.
Really?
Oh yeah, Blue Lobster. I mean, think of
Blue
them.
Lobster.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a call.
Uh-oh.
Hi, welcome to Rock Paper Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Norm!
Hey, I got a question for you and your guest. Two questions, actually.
All right.
Do you think that men and women should be paid equally for the same job that they do, even though men get higher pay? And why was not the pay raised from $7.25 to $10 an hour?
Oh, minimum wage.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to hang up so you can answer those questions.
All right,
okay?
thanks, Norm.
Okay. Thanks, Norm.
You want me to do the first and you do the second one?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I might want to do the pay equity type thing because I think that yes, when people get paid for what they are individually worth. Okay, we should measure ourselves by what we feel we are worth, not what someone else sets arbitrarily to think. Okay, you are worth that much.
Right.
And saying that, well, just by virtue of my sex, I should get paid the same amount as someone else. Well, if I took a job and I get paid more than Gary does, now do I have to have my wages lowered or do Gary's have to be raised because I made more than Gary? Because I negotiated a
You
higher
made the
salary.
same amount as me.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I ran for speaker, I'd make $25 more than you. But but that's the bottom line. Is if I negotiate a higher salary, I should be able to get it. It's like buying a
Right.
car.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's it, and I think you probably this is going to go into the next election. This is a start into the war on women, okay? And from what I understand,
I'm
I
not gonna
haven't.
war on myself.
I know, I want to go to war with you all the time, but I've heard the explanation of that, and I thought and I'm sure you have. But if you really look into the statistics they came up with to arrive at this huge differential between male and female salaries, it's really not even remotely that bad. It's like 4%, not, I don't know what they say, 20% or...
I've heard some different
Well,
numbers.
Yeah.
my question is, if you're a union employee, how can they pay one more than the other? Because union wages are all basically the same, and you negotiate all the wages all the same way. I think what you're talking about is more your non-union people who negotiate their own salaries, like I would.
Right.
And I think also they're taking different jobs. Like, for instance, I worked in a machine shop for 34 years. I never worked with a woman. There's just women didn't do it.
Right.
And if there was a woman that could do what I did, they would hire them. There's no way they wouldn't.
But I think what your caller's saying, though, are jobs that are the same. Like there's two lawyers in
Yeah,
a
but I
law
think-
firm, or there's
I
two
get
doctors.
that. I get that, but I don't think the statistics that he's referring to, where the Democrats are hyping up this war on women and using the salary thing, that particular article that they're using is using all kinds of different. They're mixing, apples to oranges. They're not saying, like you and I are both legislators getting the same pay. They're using, a lot of different things. For instance, if you're a lawyer in a law firm and you're a woman and you're getting paid $40,000, but I'm a guy the same age and I'm making $60,000, they'll say, well,
That's
why?
Not gonna happen.
They'll say, why?
I make more than you.
Okay, whatever. So, but they'll say, what? There's a $20,000 differential, not putting into account that you just got back into the law firm after, a 10-year break so you could raise your kids.
Well, there's that, and
There's all kinds of other variables that they don't include in that to exaggerate their numbers. I think it's much like Bloomberg coming up with this 74 incidents of gun violence in schools. They use the statistics that they can and warp it to make a point.
Fuzzy math, as Al
Fuzzy
Gore used
math.
to say.
yeah, statistics don't lie.
Norm, as far as the minimum wage, I've never voted for the minimum wage because I seldom can find anybody that's actually making that low money.
Yeah, even my daughter, who worked at Dunkin' Donuts until she quit because she got a better paying job at $9 an hour.
Is still making $8.50 or something, right?
Yeah, no, she's making like $7.30. I don't know. Minimum wage is $7.25. She was making like $7.50 or something like that. She wasn't even making. She was making way more than that. And I told her about it. I says, well, what would happen? She goes, well, then one of us would probably get fired because of the cost of goods. And she got the basic economics of it.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
it was,
because
they think you're going to give them more money, that somehow there's going to be all this
Right.
extra money out in society. Well, no, the cost of goods just went up. So guess what? That McDonald's hamburger just got raised.
Right.
I can't wait to see happens out west. What was it? Oregon that just passed the $15.
Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
Yeah.
That just passed it. You wait, in 5 years we will see what the effects of a very high minimum wage are. I guarantee that no one's going to get their little $3 Starbucks anymore.
No, and nobody's
They're
going to
gonna
get
be $7.
there won't be anything on the dollar menu.
And the line is going to be that long for those who are willing to wait for their $7 Starbucks.
Right. Yep. That's the true. Oh, and the worst thing ever. I took Grants on Friday. I took him bowling. So I chipped my nail. See what happened?
Ouch.
Guess what day it was?
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, Pam. What are the odds? What are the odds that one of the worst things that's ever happened to me would happen on Friday the 13th?
You chipped your nail? That's one of the worst things that ever happened to you? Wow, you've had a sheltered life.
Oh, okay. So who do we
gotta go.
Oh, we gotta go. We gotta go.
That was a wicked long hour.
Isn't it?
You don't have to say it like that.
No, I'm only kidding because you said it was going to be a long hour in the beginning.
Oh, that's right. We'll see you next week. I was trying to remember who I got coming next week, but I don't. I always forget.
It'll be a surprise. A
It'll
shared
be a
adventure.
surprise. I remembered you were going to be here this week.
Thank you.
Last week.
It's only 20 emails I sent you.
Oh, that's probably it.
All right.
All right, we'll see you next week, folks.
Bye, everybody.